you. Then let's go ahead and begin. Good evening. I hereby call the Palm Springs regular City Council meeting of July 28, 2022 to order. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I would invite all who can stand and would like to stand to join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Holstedge.
Present.
Councilmember Woods.
Present.
Councilmember Coors.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Garner.
Here.
Mayor Middleton.
Present.
All members are present.
Next order of the agenda is presentations, and we have asked the police chief to come and to provide us with a presentation on an incredibly important issue that is affecting all of us in our community.
Good to go? Okay. Well, good evening, Madam Mayor and Madam Pro Tem Mayor, as well as the other council members. As you are well aware, many of our businesses have been suffering with disorder in the central part of our city. This cannot continue because it certainly affects, and we understand that it affects the core of our community and our identity as a tourist destination. As well as we also understand that it is the economic driver of the city. And so we take this very seriously, and we understand the value in balancing the value of what commerce brings with the human lives that it's touching on all sides. So a little good news to start this presentation with. Last night, about 3 in the morning, our detectives were following a man they believed to be the person who was breaking out windows and burglarizing restaurants all over the city. And they were able to arrest him for a theft then, and then they tied him to multiple burglaries and have charged him with 7 different burglaries from restaurants in the core of our city, as well as other burglaries in Cathedral City. We also arrested the man who threw a brick through the window of one of our local stores downtown. And yesterday, he just pled guilty on that incident, which is record speed, and took 16 months in jail. So he'll be off the streets for a while, and we're happy to see that, and hopefully that he can get some help while he is incarcerated. And then also last night, our crime suppression team officers working the downtown area arrested 3, including 1 person who was trafficking methamphetamine to the homeless population. They got a quarter pound of methamphetamine off the person. This is the 2nd time we've arrested this person this summer for trafficking methamphetamine, and that person is currently on probation as well. So that kind of gives you the context and the core of the problem that we're facing down there. So here's what we have been doing and where we're going to go, and wanted to just make sure that the council as well as the community was aware. We have a downtown sergeant and 2 officers assigned to work with the unhoused population, trying to get them the resources they need, but also holding them accountable for behaviors that are associated with some mental health as well as drug addiction problems. And we want to make it very clear to the community that we understand the difference between behavioral problems and someone's personal status. We're not concerned with their status. We are concerned with the behavioral problems that are associated with either mental health or drug addiction. So they have been providing resources to people. They've done multiple clean street operations where, for instance, in one particular one, we arrested 19 people and removed 9 truckloads of trash with our colleagues in other city departments all over the city. And unfortunately, some of that displaced people to the downtown area, including the woman who we arrested last night for trafficking methamphetamine. So the problems continue to persist. So our current efforts are, as I just stated, moving our crime suppression team from other important duties to the downtown area to focus on the problems associated with behavioral issues downtown. We cannot and will not completely abandon some of the other things that they're working on because they're violent crimes. However, their focus for right now is going to be downtown. We've directed our motor officers to work heavily in the downtown area, writing citations and doing rigorous enforcement to make sure that there is order in the downtown area, as well as our community service officers going door to door with flyers, helping people understand what they can do to prevent windows from being broken out and how to have us intervene on their behalf. And then we've also moved marked cars in the downtown area to provide a visual presence of police vehicles downtown. The next steps are equally as important. As staffing improves, our next major goal is to add full-time officers to the downtown area. I cannot do it right now. I just don't have the resources. However, we have 6 officers in field training. They should be out of field training within 2 months. When that takes place, I can take some of those officers and put them in patrol, take people out of patrol and move them onto the teams that work the downtown area. The bike teams have been an effective tool in the past. It should continue to be an effective tool. They will focus full-time and solely on the downtown area. The difficult part is we currently have 18 people injured and off of work from various injuries while on duty, from neck surgeries to back surgeries to broken wrists to knees that have been destroyed. We're working with the Police Officers Association as well as Human Resources to get those people either healthy or retired. Open up those positions, hire new people, and get them in place so that we can provide as much of the functions as possible to the city in our community. We're also applying civil remedies to some of the problems downtown. We spoke with the merchants downtown, strongly encouraging them to help us with stay-away orders as well as letters of agency. A letter of agency is anybody can fill that out, which allows us to do enforcement when they're not there. So if somebody's sleeping on your business property, you can fill out the form. It goes into our computer-aided dispatch system. That allows us to take enforcement on the person trespassing on their property at any time of the day or night after the person is given a warning. We've also discussed and we frequently offer people to send them home to where their loved ones are, so where they can get the help they need in a humane way without just dumping them on some other community. However, that needs to be improved and the offers made more frequent, and we're working on that. And then we want to make sure that everybody understands that in the corridor between Indian and Balago and in the downtown corridor, we want to make sure that there is rigorous enforcement so that people understand in Palm Springs that there is order, especially in the downtown area. So, having said all that, I would certainly entertain any questions that you might have.
Are there any questions from council? Let me start. Chief, thank you. This is very helpful, and what we know is that your resources are stretched, but you're getting new officers coming online. Is there anything that we can do as a council to give you more of what you need in terms of resources?
Madam Mayor, the 2 most important things you've already done, and we thank you for that, is 1, approved 3 additional people for us to hire, and we're currently in the process of backgrounding and trying to fill those positions as quickly as possible with the support of Human Resources, so that's been very helpful. The second thing is we are looking at the staffing study, which will come before you. Actually, we already went before you. Now it's been released for an RFP. We'll expeditiously get that done, come back to council, and figure out what we can do to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our community and offloading some of the duties that are have been thrust on law enforcement, but aren't necessarily the responsibility of the police. And so we're looking forward to that staffing study being done, looking for those alternative responses. And then lastly, thank council for how they've taken care of our officers, especially in the last negotiation, and the city manager, because that will hopefully help us retain people. And I think that it is extraordinarily helpful. So you've already done what you can do up to this point, and we appreciate that.
Right. Other questions from anyone in council? Councilmember Coors.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, and thank you for that. And I know you've met with some of the business groups that the mayor and I were on, and really appreciate you reaching out to them. Just a couple things that have come up. One, I know you're putting together one pager on things businesses can do. Can you just go over a little bit where they can get information? So, because I think a lot of them were surprised that they could do something that would allow you to enforce no trespassing. But can you give a little more information and just thoughts on how we get the information out to businesses that we need? And the other related item is, the last meeting, I think it was $180,000 that we approved for facade improvement program. And unlike the past, we opened that up for vandalism replacement. So I want to make sure the public knows that. But we also put money aside for cameras for businesses and want those to be coordinated with your department. So I just want to follow up on those two items.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Coors. First of all, if people would like to be part of the STOP program, which has been in place for many years, we are able to have them fill out a form which goes into our computer systems, our computer-aided dispatch, so that will allow officers to check a location while they're out in the field and determine if that place is authorized to conduct enforcement. That has to be renewed every single year. So some people don't understand that. They think that it would last in perpetuity. It does not. So we have a list. I got a list of all the businesses that currently have that in place. And we're going to reach out through the chamber and through the city's own email and website system to notify everybody of how they can obtain the form, fill it out, send it back, and we can get it put in the system as quickly as possible so that when the need arises, we can conduct the enforcement as needed. As far as the other two items you mentioned, we handed out flyers door-to-door downtown through our community service officers to give them information on how they can prevent crime. And we did not include the two programs that you mentioned that would support businesses in both vandalism prevention as well as cameras downtown. Us having the ability to observe and prevent crime downtown is important. And sometimes cameras can do that for us as long as it's managed in the proper way. And I think that we have a track record of being very sensitive to the constitutional rights of people and using it in a very proper way. So we feel strongly that that could be very helpful. We do have some cameras that are operational downtown, and we have seen it used on multiple occasions to prevent violent crime. So we appreciate that.
Thanks. My last question that I get, I'm sure we all get often, is that the city needs to pass stronger laws to allow you to prevent crimes like these. So can you just let us know if there's anything we haven't done? And because my understanding is we've done everything that we're allowed to under state and federal law. But if not, are there things you'd like to see us act on?
Well, I think for those that know me, I know that I'm not too shy of asking for what we need. And I think the council has done what they can within the confines of the law to allow us the enforcement tools that we need. However, the navigation center that will open up will, again, expand our tool belt to be able to help us guide people to the resources that can get them help. If not, there is an enforcement tool behind it. This is at an infraction level, so people have to understand that that won't solve the problem overnight. It's incremental change that will help us get to where we need to be. And the second piece that I think is very important is a lot of these are fairly low-level crimes. In other words, they're not going to go to prison, or to jail for a substantial period of time for very low-grade misdemeanors. And I don't think society wants us to do that. We want to solve the problem, but we have to, find the leverage that's important to get to be able to say, this is how it's going to work in Palm Springs. Had a conversation with the rest of the chiefs in the county this morning about the need for mental health help from the county. And they're having trouble filling the positions. And so we really want to make sure that we're working with the county, working with the Department of Health and Human Services to make sure the positions are filled, that we get people in place to help handle these problems in a proper fashion. And I think that hopefully that the commitment is there at the county level and that we can work on this together.
Thank you. Really appreciate it, Chief, and thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions? Councilmember Holstich.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate your leadership and stepping up, and your whole team and all the officers. So thank you. I just have a question about sort of the root causes of some of the issues that we're seeing. For example, you stated that this is related to drug use and drug sales, which is impacting our community, especially some people living on the street. So, how do we get in front of this? So we talked about the laws that council might pass, but, what are those resources? You mentioned a little bit at the county level for behavioral health. I just want to note that Palm Springs mental health location looks like it reopened with a new provider. So would love to help connect there. But, how do we get ahead of sort of the regional issues that are happening on drug sales and that crisis that's happening here in Palm Springs? Because that sounds like it's really impacting these, levels of activity that we're seeing.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Holstich. I think there are three things that truly impact the homeless population. One is the lack of affordable housing. We know that that's an issue region-wide. However, some of the people that we're dealing with truly are not capable at this point in their life of living on their own in a house. So that has to be part of the calculation of how that takes place. The second two pieces are mental health and drug addiction. And we know that there's a drastic shortage of beds at the county and state level for mental health and drug rehabilitation. If a person's ready for drug rehabilitation, they've got to go now, not in 2 weeks or 14 days or make an appointment and come later. They need to go now. And so we really have to work with the organizations that are capable of doing that, have the funding for it that the city does not have to make those things happen. And then the proper people who have the relationships with the unhoused population to get them into those beds. It's a tough deal when your primary job is enforcement, then to turn around and say to the person you've just enforced on, how can I help you get into a drug rehabilitation bed? It kind of hits a stone wall. So we want to make sure that the right people are there to do that. Some of our officers have just done an amazing job building relationships with the people who are unhoused. But at the same time, it takes many, many contacts to get the person in a place where they're ready to go. As far as drug sales are concerned, I can tell you that we are crushing it in terms of working with our local, state, and federal partners and arresting people literally almost every day, getting amazing amount of guns and dope off the streets. But as we know, there's an endless supply coming of fentanyl, of methamphetamine to our community, an endless supply. So we really have to also focus on the rehabilitation side. And until that takes place in a very robust manner, I don't have a great deal of hope that we're going to see drastic reductions in the amount of people using and trafficking drugs. But we will continue fighting the fight. We did 2 search warrants. I got notification today at 2 different locations, got large amounts of methamphetamine and guns and fentanyl, and we'll continue to do it every day. But we want to have both sides of the coin.
Thank you, Chief. That's particularly helpful as we discuss the Navigation Center tonight and the scope of services and what might be built out there as services to the community. So thank you for your input on that. And I will just say, if I can take a moment, I was actually brought into this work by a PSPD officer, Baron Lane, who had built such strong relationships with people who are living on the streets that he brought them to my office for legal assistance. So yes, thank you to all the officers who are building those relationships and getting people into care. Thank you.
You bet. Baron's an amazing officer.
Is there anyone else who? And let me just say that we really appreciate what you're doing, what all of your officers are doing. We very much appreciate those in the business community who are making it known to us how important this is. It is going to take cooperation from all of us. Palm Springs has always been a community that's willing to help people who help themselves. We will continue to do that. But we have far, far too many people lying on our sidewalks, our bus stops, and who are not trying to help themselves, and they are going to have to find help or find somewhere else to live. Thank you.
You bet.
City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to point out, especially for members of the community, that we are making some subtle changes to the way we handle presentations. So for those kinds of public safety, health and safety service type announcements like we just had, we would still propose having verbal presentations. But for some of the other events, proclamations, and other kinds of public service announcements, given some of the discussion council has had over the months, we are proposing a new process whereby those presenters would submit materials in advance, which is something we hadn't done previously. So this agenda packet includes 2 other presentations, a proclamation for the Palm Springs Certified Farmers Market and a letter outlining the Children's Discovery Museum Reimagination Project and seeking funding support. So what we will do, if it is the pleasure of council, is continue to include those kinds of presentations in written format and invite people associated with those to speak first during public comment so that they can elaborate a little bit, identify those materials, and direct community members to them. But just want to point that out and make sure council understands that any direction you want to give in changing that program, we're certainly receptive to. But all of this is in the interest of preserving enough time for council to deliberate on key business while balancing the need to promote some of that community information.
All right, great, thank you. The next item on our agenda is acceptance of the agenda. The City Council will discuss the order of the agenda and may amend the order, add urgency items, note abstentions or no votes on calendar items, or request calendar items be removed for a separate discussion. I do want to make note that item 3C, an urgency ordinance related to real property rental rates, has been removed from the agenda for this evening and will be rescheduled at a future date. Are there any other items that council would like to remove or change, or that staff would like to remove or change? Councilmember Kors.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'd like to pull item 1G, as in Jeff.
Okay. Very good. Anyone else? I would simply like to make note that when we get to the consent item 1J, I do not want to remove it, but I would like to record a no vote on 1J. It's an item that we've previously discussed at length. There's no need to discuss it further, and I opposed it then and continue to oppose that development. And Madam City Clerk, I believe you had an announcement.
Yes, ma'am. On July 14th, we announced a public hearing for the annexation of a property into CFD 2005-1. That item has been rescheduled for September 1st.
All right. I would entertain a motion to accept the acceptance of the agenda with items 1J with 1J noted for a 1 no vote, and item 1G removed for separate discussion, and item 3C to be rescheduled at a future date.
I motion to accept the agenda.
Was there a second? I'll second it.
Second.
All right. Do we need to take a roll call vote at this point? All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Garner,
Yes.
Mayor Middleton,
Yes.
Councilmember Holstedge,
Yes.
Councilmember Coors,
Yes.
Councilmember Woods.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right. Next item is a report of closed session, and we'll start by turning it over to the city attorney, and then I think I'm going to get it back.
Yes, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, just briefly, the council met in closed session, and with the exception of the item that you will be announcing, there is no reportable action.
All right, thank you. So I would like to make a couple of announcements to the public with regard to our upcoming transition of the city manager. We have made a decision to appoint an interim city manager effective the date of departure of our current city manager. That interim city manager is Teresa Gallivan, our current assistant city manager, and we are thrilled to have her step up into this role, and encourage everyone to congratulate her. We're very pleased to be able to make this appointment from within the city of Palm Springs. Teresa and Justin will be working together over the course of the next many weeks, most particularly the month of August. We will have our next city council meeting is scheduled for September 1st, and that will be jointly managed by both Justin and Teresa, and then the handoff will come a few days after that. We have engaged with our Human Resources Department. They will be taking the lead in making a determination for a search firm that will be involved in scouring the field to identify all of those individuals who would be qualified and interested in taking the lead as the permanent city manager here in Palm Springs. We are open to hear from anyone who is interested in taking on one of the most demanding, exciting, and challenging assignments in public service today. And we think we will be able to find the individual who will be right for our city, for our community, and for our staff. Lastly, I want to repeat something I said the other evening. We are extremely fortunate in this city to have the public servants who work for us each and every day. We have some incredible professionals. We appreciate the work you do. We know the next few months are not going to be easy as we go through a transition. They never are. But we appreciate the work that you do for our community, and we will have your back as we go through this process. To the community, no one is going to change in Palm Springs. It is always going to be a demanding place to be. We know that you expect the best of us, and we're going to get up every morning and try to deliver back to you what we promised we would do when we were running for office, and that's put your interest first. So thank you. With that, we will move on to public testimony on non-public hearing agenda items only. This time has been set aside for members of the public to address the City Council on non-public agenda items only. 2 minutes will be assigned to each speaker. You are asked to begin your time by telling us what the agenda item or items are that you are speaking about, General public comment on subjects not on the agenda will be taken later in this evening. City Clerk, do we have any registered speakers?
Yes, ma'am. We have Lauren Wolfer, followed by Cindy Burrison.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Madam Mayor Pro Tem and Council. I am speaking tonight in my capacity as Program Director for the Palm Springs Cultural Center. We requested a proclamation from Council declaring the week of August 7th through August 13th as Palm Springs Certified Farmers Market Week. This corresponds with National Farmers Market Week, which has gone on for a few years and was officially recognized by President Biden last year. Farmers markets serve as significant outlets by which both generational family farms and newly beginning farms can market their agricultural products directly to consumers. Farmers markets are critical to the success of small growers that are working in a traditional format that's endangered by a large-scale mechanization of corporate growing practices. And furthermore, farmers markets encourage healthy community principles by offering the freshest seasonal small farm produce and building community connections between residents and the farmers that are growing our food. The Palm Springs Cultural Center is proud to operate the certified farmers markets of the Coachella Valley in Palm Desert, La Quinta, and Palm Springs. Not only are these the only mission-driven farmers markets in our region, they also offer the only nutrition incentive program in the Coachella Valley. So this enables CalFresh recipients to use their benefits at the market, as well as receive a 15 for $15 match for fresh produce at each market day. And then that also provides opportunities for participation in the WIC Farmers Market Nutrition Program. So on behalf of the Palm Springs Cultural Center, we thank you for issuing this proclamation, and we will be celebrating Palm Springs Certified Farmers Market Week at the market on Saturday, August 13th at the Palm Springs Pavilion, and we would like it if everyone would come and, join us in celebrating. Thank you.
Cindy Burrison, followed by Greg Rodriguez.
Good afternoon, Mayor Middleton and council, city staff, and guests. I'm Cindy Burrison, and I am the proud CEO of the Children's Discovery Museum of the Desert. I'm here to speak on the request that's in your packet there. There's some materials that were sent your way that I would like to further explain. The Children's Discovery Museum of the Desert has been in the Valley for over 3 decades, and we're really proud of that. 25 years in our current location, and we see 85,000 visitors a year. Our whole mission is to teach kids the joy of learning and also promote family interaction in the museum's walls. Our why is because our kids are the ones that have been most affected by the pandemic. They now have 1 out of 4 kids has anxiety and depression. There's a lot going on in the world, and our job is to provide a safe place for kids to come and an inclusive place for kids to come where everybody feels welcome and doesn't have to worry about what's going on outside of those 4 walls. With the pandemic, we had to close, and during that time, we realized a couple of things. First of all, our exhibits were 25 years old, so we needed to do a little bit of a remodel there. But we decided that we were going to take the opportunity of having to be closed and take that time to do that reimagination. So we're in that process. We're fundraising and fabricating right now. We have 40 new exhibits coming, and we're expanding our programming to include older kids and all different types of kids. By that I mean that we are going to be autism certified. We are going to be the first autism certified venue in the Valley. We're going to have sensory guides for all of our experiences for those families that need to pre-plan their visits. And we will also have a low sensory zone for kids that might have meltdowns in those types of situations so they can get refocused and enjoy the rest of their visit. I'm going to all of the cities to ask for financial support because we're also an economic driver in the Valley, filling all of our resorts and restaurants and other attractions by bringing families to the desert. So thank you for your time today, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Are there any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Best.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Garner, council and staff. My name is Greg Rodriguez, a resident of Palm Springs, and I'm speaking in support of item 3B on the agenda with the universal basic income. Let me preface this that I'm speaking as a resident and not in my official capacity with the county on this item. I think this is a great move for the city of Palm Springs to do. It's following on the heels of other jurisdictions that are experimenting with this process. The chief mentioned the need for tools in addressing homelessness, especially amongst extremely low income individuals. I think this serves as one of those tools. Additionally, too, I think the data and the metrics that can be acquired through this program within Palm Springs will really help to frame how successful these have been in not only other jurisdictions, but could be in Palm Springs, that would help frame the conversation around expanding these type of programs, either countywide, statewide, or federally. So again, I would support the adoption of this, and just finally would say that you couldn't ask for two more qualified partners in DAP Health, sorry, David, and CareerWorks. So thank you for your time.
Madam Mayor, that concludes in-person comment. If you give us just a moment, we'll switch to phone comments. Jenny Fote, you're live at the City Council. You have 2 minutes to provide your comments, and you may begin.
Good evening, everyone. I'm calling regarding the update on the Navigation Center, and I was a little disappointed in the staff report because I don't think it really covered everything that we've talked about with the Navigation Center. We have a real opportunity to have a navigation center that can be a model program in California. And the size and the scope of location allows for so much innovation, and I didn't see that in the staff report. We're at the beginning of this plan, so I think it's time if we're going to innovate. For example, build in an ability for there to be services also that are available to the community, like First Five services for children, a pet center, health center for the homeless, and also for low-income people that could utilize the pet center. We have large buildings. We can do any kind of a commercial venture in there, such as a baking company through the commercial kitchen that we're going to put in. So I think it's so important to look at each opportunity that could possibly go into the Innovation Center into the Navigation Center, and not just look at it as a homeless shelter in District 1. We have an opportunity to also provide services to that surrounding community. And so I'd really I know that I'm on the committee that is going to be dealing with the Navigation Center, the community committee, but I think a lot of things are happening before we've had an opportunity to see what else can be done in those buildings, especially now that Building C can't be used for housing to begin with. I think we can change a number of things around the way those buildings are configured and provide services. I mean, especially the pet services, because when we did Roy's, that was one of the biggest downfalls of Roy's, is that the homeless didn't have a place for their pets, and that is their family. And so I'm just saying that I think that we need to do more in that planning than we're doing right now. And thank you very much for listening.
Madam Mayor, that concludes our list.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to the consent calendar. The next item is consent calendar. I will entertain a motion to accept the consent calendar without item 1G as in Jeff, and making note that I am voting no on 1J. Is there a motion? Councilmember Coors?
Mayor, just there was a companion item to 1J, 1I. There were two properties, and I don't know if you meant to vote no on both, so I just wanted to highlight that for you.
Okay, thank you. I will.
And with that, I will make the motion.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Madam Mayor, for clarification, was your desire to vote no on I as well?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Kors,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Garner,
Yes.
Councilmember Holstedge,
Yes.
Councilmember Woods.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with the exception of items 1I and 1J.
All right. And with that, we pulled for separate discussion 1G as in Jeff.
If you'd like, I'm happy to give a staff report on that item.
Please.
If PSTV could just pull up, what we have for you with this agenda item is essentially two work plan pieces. One is a report card on the previous work planning period, and the other is a look ahead for the tasks associated with the next period, which is roughly now or beginning of August through November. So just to kind of anchor this and step back a bit, Council convened a couple of strategic visioning sessions last November and came out of those with a strategic plan that's organized in 4 pillars: quality of life, environmental stewardship, community infrastructure, and good governance. Staff then developed a number of work plans associated with those broad categories so that we could organize our work throughout the year and beyond to advance those strategic priorities. We presented the first work plan to you back in April or March, I believe, and outlined a number of tasks. And so one of the items provided for you this evening is a report card on that work plan period. So I won't go through it in great detail, but to orient you a little bit to the document, which is on screen, apologize if it's a little small, but what you will see is largely the original tasks that were identified and presented to Council last spring. You'll see those with green check marks indicating that those items have been completed, and you'll see a couple with red X's that indicate that those tasks weren't quite completed. In addition, we've added a handful of notes where appropriate to just provide context. It's a good opportunity to reiterate what's in the staff report, which is this is largely a staff document. So the language is fairly concise, might not be totally appropriate for public consumption in that it might leave a lot of questions not answered. But from a very kind of high level and concise language, this reports on the things that we've done. So just to highlight a couple of things, for instance, in the area of improving homelessness, we've really done a lot in the last handful of months. We closed signed an MOU with the county to purchase some property, applied for significant funding for the state, created a work group, conducted a number of outreach meetings, procured an architect to design the navigation center, and we've also done some things outside of that effort to expand our homeless response team. This is not all inclusive. There were some other things in this area. For instance, staff had an effort to clean Barristo Park. Some of that really even preceded this work planning period. But just to point out, it's not meant to capture everything, but give a pretty good overview of the significant tasks. At the bottom of each of those categories, we had indicated how many council meetings we thought that it would take to kind of move through those tasks. And we've reported in this report card whether that estimate was essentially on target or not. That's really, for us, a little bit of a reality check to see if the volume of work we thought we could accomplish, we were in fact able, or if sometimes we might move slower or faster, helping us to kind of calibrate the volume of work we assign to ourselves. Other categories like reduced crime, the police department's been very successful in really reorienting to a neighborhood policing model, including significant engagement in the community. We have now procured a consultant for a staffing review, which was mentioned earlier, refreshed the mission and focus, and again, done a number of other things outside of that, of course, in a police department, but those are really tied to the primary strategic priority of reducing crime. Housing, we've been similarly active. Through the budget process, we did separate a housing and homeless position that was once combined so that we can give proper focus to both of those. We've implemented and approved some Senate Bill 9 policies relating to accessory dwelling units, lot splits, and a number of other things that are meant to provide additional density. We've put some substantial funding aside in the budget, so that really provides for future opportunities, $10 million. And then we are in the process of hiring a consultant to guide us through an inclusionary zoning analysis. I will just point out, rather than going through this whole thing, those are kind of some highlights. You'll see areas in blue, like this one we're going to discuss this evening for a Guaranteed Basic Income pilot program. That was not something that we anticipated when we created the original work plan, so we've added it so that, again, we can kind of keep all of our notes in one place, so to speak, of the priorities that we're pursuing. You'll see an example of an item that we didn't quite fulfill, which was to find opportunities to participate in facility planning with College of the Desert. And the note there is it wasn't that we didn't try. We did, in fact, advance a number of times a request to create an advisory committee or something like it, but we have not gotten a commitment back from the college on those items. Scrolling through, I'll note that the Plaza Theater is now on a bit of an accelerated timeline, so that will have an impact on our approach to capital projects overall. But again, the exciting news there is that group has been really successful raising funds, and we are now underway with design of that important facility. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and again, rather than going through absolutely everything, just orient you to some of the language. There are a couple of other places in this document where, for instance, with the budget process, where we estimated a number of meetings, we had some conversations that necessitated adding meetings, so that's just an area where we kind of indicate that. Again, helpful in just looking backwards so that we can be even better looking forward, which really takes us to this next work plan. You'll notice that a number of the items are very similar, kind of a continuation from the previous work planning cycle. So for instance, under improving homelessness in the first planning period, we wanted to create a working group, and now we want to continue to engage with that working group. So plenty of those tasks really do carry over, while others are brand new. So for instance, in the area of affordable housing, we have lots of new things to look forward to, including starting to get more active in soliciting interest, partnership opportunities in city-owned sites, looking forward to hiring a housing person, and starting more robust planning in that area. Staff's intent with this document is to help council understand this really important planning period between now and November, where we will also have a city council election. We've received direction from council on a number of items that you would like to see us complete before the change of seats. That is a key moment, especially when you anticipate a number of seats may change. And it's valuable to identify those things we want to complete before that happens, and just as important to maybe identify some of those things we don't want to begin until that transition, knowing that we wouldn't be able to complete them. So a good example is the short-term vacation rental working group, which is underway now. We've established a timeline that even has a little bit of wiggle room so that we can get you the recommendations and policy options that group will identify, ideally in October, giving you a number of meetings to consider that before seats change place. The intent with providing this is that you'd be able to use the agenda development section of each regular meeting agenda to identify things that you either want to add, adjust, consider deferring or consider accelerating or anything like that. I'll just point out before I close and take questions or comments, time does fly. And in the case of where we're at right now, going dark in August, you have 2 meetings in September, 2 in October, and currently 1 scheduled in November. You have a couple of opportunities for study sessions, one of which I'm fairly sure we'll need to cover the short-term rental policy ideas. I'll also just add to that when you really look at our agendas, we tend to be able to take on 1 or 2 of these high priority items each time. The rest of the agenda is filled with normal business, appeals of planning commission and Mills Act and other kind of ordinary day-to-day things that don't find their way to these work plans, but nevertheless kind of take our time. So you really don't have, I don't think, a broad opportunity to add to the work plan, but certainly to adjust by adding and taking other things away to make sure you get the valuable work done that you need to in the next few months. So with that, happy to take any questions or direction from council.
All right, thank you. Before we move to council, is there anything that Ms. Gallivan would like to add to what the city manager has given us?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Reiterating what the city manager has shared, that, I think we have very doable work plans here. This progress that we're making has been significant, and we have a talented team in place to keep moving these high priority items that you have made our focus forward. That being said, whenever something new comes up, there needs to be a discussion about what takes a back seat to that if it becomes the new priority. So just knowing that we need to adjust when we take on new things, that we're sharing with you what those impacts are, but we want to move your goals forward.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Questions, comments from council?
Just briefly, I pulled this just because I thought it'd be good to share with the community and give the city manager a heads up. And it wasn't meant to go into all the details, but really show the amazing progress over the last 4 or 5 months on so many priority issues, as well as, this is a tool that's been created, and I really appreciate the city manager's work to do this, that I think has been working really well for us. And I think as we get to agenda development at the end of the night, we should really look at what those priorities might be while this council is seated, and what things we might want to not start until after there are some changes, at least one. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anything else from anyone? All right. Thank you, and I will add that I'm really appreciative of highlighting the vacation rental issue. There's some incredible expertise, particularly with Councilmember Coors, that we're going to lose in December, and I'd like to get this issue resolved while we have him and everyone else that's currently on council who've devoted so much time to that issue. So with that, we'll move on to our business and legislative, and that is item 3A, the Palm Springs Navigation Center update. Staff report, please.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. This is an update on the Palm Springs Navigation Center. But before starting this presentation, I would like to identify the individuals and organizations that are making up our team. I think it's important for you to know who is doing all the hard work. And our first of all is our co-applicant, the County of Riverside. Supervisor Perez's office has been extremely supportive. The Housing and Workforce Solutions Department has also provided a lot of insight and direction. They are working on a similar project with another city in Riverside County. And tonight, Greg Rodriguez and Mike Walsh, I believe, will be available to help answer questions. Linda Barak from Martha's Village and Kitchen is also here to help answer questions. Alice Kim and Lauren Rath from John Freeman Alice Kim Architects, the architect you brought on board in June, is also here and available to help answer questions. Losar Development Consultants, also on board with Hillary Carter, Stefan Gonzalez, Sam Jones, and Gabe Speyer. And of course, city staff. We are doing a lot of interdepartmental work on this project with Kim Baker, Joelle, myself, Flynn, Jeff, Justin, and Amy and Denise, who've all been working hard on this project. So with that, why don't we go ahead and have Greg start the presentation.
You'll be sick of me by the end of the night. So anyway, as Jay said, we really wanted to come to the council. We know that transparency through this whole process is important to you and important to the community, and we agree with that. And so we wanted to give you an update on where we are as far as the status goes, not only for you as council, but for the public as well. Make sure I get this right. Yeah, good. So what we're going to go over tonight is what the community needs are. I'll go over those very briefly, kind of the project overview, the project schedule, community outreach, project implementation, and then we'll open up for questions and comments. A couple things I want to highlight on the agenda that you'll know is that the Home Key Award, while we haven't gotten an official announcement from the governor, we are quite confident that we will be successful in that. So we're just waiting that final confirmation from the governor, but we wanted to at least outline that once that award award is made, that you'll see what the timeline will be in the process for that as well. I really want to emphasize too that, as Jay said, there's been a lot of work behind the scenes on this process, so it's not like we're just waiting for the award and then we'll do everything, because what we are doing is preparing in order for that when that award comes through, that we are on the right timeline to make it successful. And then finally, I know that the outreach and community engagement is extremely important to you as council, and I think you'll be very impressed at the amount of work that the LaSar team has done so far and has planned going forward. And I just wanted to highlight again for you as council and the community just some of the statistics that we're dealing with. The chief spoke about some of the impacts that the community is facing, primarily businesses at this point. But you'll see in the latest point in time count, the county had 3,300 people experiencing homelessness. The 4th district here, which is primarily Coachella Valley and Blythe, 1,094. And then Palm Springs, 276. 222 of those are unsheltered. We all know that these numbers are most likely higher than the point in time count, so we know that the issue is important to you all as well. And then just a little piece of information is that we only had 18 out of 100 rental units available at or below extremely low income. As the chief said, and I'm glad he mentioned it first, is there is a real issue with the lack of affordable housing. I applaud council in the last year that you've moved to address that, and I know that you're looking to advance that as well. And then, as you can see too, 59.3% of renters pay at least 30% of their income on rent. A large percent of those individuals too pay more than 50%. As you all know too, is that the United Lift rental assistance has helped hundreds of households within Palm Springs, so helping to prevent those from falling into homelessness. So with that, at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Hillary from LaSar, who will go into a little bit more about the project.
Good evening. My name is Hillary Carter. I'm a housing associate at LaSar Development Consultants, and I've been involved in the HomeKey application. And so just giving you a little bit of an overview about the application itself and the grant. In the application, we wrote for $19 million, a portion of which is for the capital costs associated with building the units and rehabbing 2 of the buildings. And then a portion is also for the operating costs at the site as well. So there's 80 modular units. HomeKey requires that the funding be used for non-congregate housing. So each unit will be a standalone with an attached individual restroom. At the Springs Housing Navigation Campus, 70 units are designated for persons experiencing homelessness, with 5 of these 70 units to be set aside for families experiencing homelessness, and the last 10 units are designated for transitioned aged youth. 2 of the 3 existing warehouse buildings, called Buildings A and B, will be rehabbed to provide services for the residents, and Martha's Village and Kitchen is the planned service provider. Next slide, please. So HomeKey 2 timeline is very aggressive. It's an expedited schedule that requires an 8-month expenditure deadline and a 12-month construction completion deadline. So time really is of the essence with this project. Next slide, please. The city and county anticipate receiving notice of award from HCD late July, early August. As Greg said earlier about the governor's announcement, we anticipate it coming shortly. All HomeKey funds have to be expended by March 2023, and then the construction must be complete on buildings A and B and the modular units in place by late July, early August 2023, exactly 12 months from the date of the award. I'll turn it over to my colleague, Stefan now.
Thanks, Hillary. So running in parallel to the HomeKey 2 application and sort of that aggressive project schedule that Hillary just described is the city's community engagement, which includes multiple methods for the community to provide input through the process from pre-award all the way through the opening and ongoing operations of the Navigation Center. So the city has provided regular updates to the Navigation Center webpage, which you can link to here via the QR code on the screen. A community-wide survey was launched in February earlier this year and is still open for feedback on the city's website. To include the voices of lived experience, a survey was developed for people experiencing homelessness, and the city has facilitated multiple stakeholder interviews and focus groups with a variety of sectors that will be influenced by the Navigation Center development. The city has also planned for 3 phases of community input sessions. So the first phase, which included 3 community meetings, took place prior to HomeKey 2 award. The second phase will take place during the site design and the services development. And then the third phase is anticipated to take place after the center has opened. And then finally, the city has developed a resident advisory working group, which is comprised of residents, business owners, and community leaders, really primarily within the center's immediate vicinity, to share community input and feedback regarding the site design, the services and operations, and some of the neighborhood impacts, and is really intended to convene throughout the development, opening, and then ongoing operations of the project. Next slide, please. So this timeline of recent community engagement activities that you see on the screen, from initial site acquisition through the launch of the Resident Advisory Working Group next month. So as you can see in the timeline, in addition to several city council meetings, we've also distributed 2 surveys, conducted 3 community meetings, and also interviewed multiple stakeholders. So some of the stakeholders that we've engaged so far include the general public and the adjacent community, neighborhood associations, local businesses, community leaders, hospitality and tourism sector, nonprofits, including homeless service providers, healthcare partners, and people experiencing homelessness. And the second of 3 rounds of community input sessions we're anticipating to kick off in October. The Resident Advisory Working Group will continue to meet regularly through the Navigation Center opening, and the 3rd round of community input sessions and stakeholder meetings is anticipated to take place after the Navigation Center has opened. Next slide. So really across the various methods of community outreach, we've received feedback that we have sort of bucketed under key topics to be considered in the development of the site design, the services, and also the operations of the facility. So we received some feedback on potential safety concerns to the neighborhood, suggestions for addressing security, and requests for ongoing collaboration with the community. We've received concerns over the site's location, some potential secondary impacts, and certain design considerations, which we have started to fold into some of the architectural goals. We've received input on potential services that should be included, specific protocols that need to be put in place, and processes that need to be established to minimize some of those secondary impacts. And then lastly, there were some concerns over the initial costs and kind of sustainability of funding. The city has also developed a FAQ page on their website, and that really has helped answer some of these common questions. Now I'm going to pass it over to Kim.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Stefan. My name is Alice Kim. I'm with John Friedman, Alice Kim Architects, or JFAK, and I'm here with Lauren Rath from my office. We are all really privileged to be working on this project with all of you. As Stefan mentioned, we've started to kind of outline the goals for this project in terms of the architecture. The design process is really just at the beginning. You see photographs of the site here on this slide at the bottom. But really, the main goals are to create a safe and welcoming environment for our unhoused friends and neighbors. And we've really already started talking about using landscape elements to create a secure and beautiful buffer between the street and the Navigation Center itself. One of the things that we've also been talking about is using materials and design features that are really compatible within the context of Palm Springs so that the project really fits into the community. And all of the above should really serve to enhance a feeling of belonging and to create a place that becomes a source of pride for the entire city. So that's really, in a nutshell, our goals. As Hillary was saying, there are going to be 80 housing units on this campus, 65 individual units, 10 transitional youth units, and then 5 family units. You can see the green area that's allocated for housing. It will also incorporate a playground and other types of communal spaces. The site will also include parking, and then the very important component of services of the Navigation Center will be housed in buildings A and B, which front onto McCarthy Road. And you can see that we're already kind of starting to think about how the landscape becomes kind of a buffer around the site and begins to integrate the site with the neighborhood. One of the things that we wanted to mention again is that Building C, as you know, is not in the scope right now because it's not eligible for home key funding. In the future, we see Building C as becoming additional congregate beds for intake and emergency use. So that's where we are right now. And we're very excited to work with all of you, as well as the Resident Advisory Working Group, to make this project a really amazing place for the city and our unhoused friends. So back to Stefan.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. So finally, looking at the services and operations. So as reflected in the Home Key 2 application and mentioned in the staff report, we're committing to the following services to be developed either on-site at the Navigation Center or by referral basis through Martha's Village and Kitchen and their team. So some of the services include housing navigation assistance, case management, healthcare services, employment services, 24-hour security, among others. And so as we continue to move on through these next two phases of community outreach and engagement, we're going to have ongoing conversations with the Resident Advisory Working Group, with stakeholders, and the community at large to refine the services to be included on-site at the facility for clients of the Navigation Center. So that provides sort of a general overview of the community needs, Home Key 2, the project schedule, community outreach, and services and operations. I'm now going to pass it back over to Greg to help field some questions.
So I'll attempt to field the questions and answers, and then we'll relay back to people on the call if I can't answer those for you.
Thank you to all. Justin?
Yeah, if I might, I just want to emphasize a little bit about the condensed schedule. So historically, it's been this council's preference to be fairly active and engaged during construction projects. And I know that this is one of the more important projects that the city has constructed in recent history. But when we say that this is a short time frame, that's really cannot be overstated. 12 months to build this is lightning speed. So unfortunately, that's kind of a bad pairing, right? That's going to necessitate a lot of innovative thinking and probably an unconventional approach. We're already taking somewhat of a less than fully conventional approach with procurement and bringing on the contracting team, really getting after some of those long lead time things quickly. And we'll need to do something very similar on keeping council informed, because really what the project can't afford is to be at a crossroads where, say, there's something where we need to come back and check in with council and progress stops for a week or two. Really, it will be hard without missing a single day to meet this time schedule. So just want to really go a little bit overboard in emphasizing it will really take some creative thinking and a level of trust to proceed expeditiously. The working group and some of those other tools are meant to augment to some degree the reliance on council as the community's representatives. But I think staff's open to other ideas on how we can keep you and the community integrated while really maintaining rapid pace.
Thank you. Questions for council? I saw Councilmember Corrs first and then the Mayor Pro Tem.
Either way, I just have a few questions. Greg, as far as Building C, and I know you've had some questions, I've asked you those already, but I think for the rest of council and the public, sort of timing and where the money, since there are reasons which I understand why home key money can't be used given the way that building is set up. But there will be reimbursement from the purchase price, correct, for the county. So I just want to sort of get a sense on timing of Building C and design and the money to move that forward.
Yeah, great question, Councilman Corrs. As you stated, in the home key application, Building C, because it'll have an element of congregate sheltering, was not eligible for home key funding. So we've basically put a pause on that while we rush to get the home key application in. In that home key application, there is a portion of the money that we used to acquire that the county gave that can be reimbursed. And so the intent of the county is to basically reallocate that for capital improvements to Building C. Additionally, there will be some pots of money coming up, such as HAP, I'm going to totally forget the acronym, sorry, round 4, homelessness, housing, and prevention dollars. So there are other pots of money that will be available, but I'm pretty confident that with the resources that will be able to be reimbursed, that we'll be able to finance the redevelopment Building C. I think what we're waiting for, and correct me, anyone on the team if I'm wrong, but is to get the final word that we've been approved for Home Key, because we don't want to start moving on an aspect that might not have any funding on it. So.
Great, thank you. And then just, I wanted to follow up on former council member Fote's sort of comments. I know when we looked at sort of really rough draft, when we were first talking about this at council and with you, we talked about sort of a dog park, given that so many homeless folks have not been able to get help because of, no pet policies, and also potentially some kind of place for children 5 and under to have daycare or education, first 5, things like that. So is that something that could be well, obviously the outdoor stuff is different, but even, is that something you envision Building C, or are those kind of things not being considered anymore?
So they are being considered, but not initially. So basically what we're doing right now is identifying the items within the Home Key application that are part of the extremely tight timeline. With that being said, though, is through Martha's and through the team, and then the architects basically have just been brought on board, and we all toured the site about a week ago. Discussions of common space areas that can be utilized for those type of community benefits in the future. So we want to make sure that we're getting the initial services and housing built, and then the essential services for the wraparound services to help the clients on the campus, and then making sure that we have the opportunities as we search for other type of funding, say for childcare for First 5 and other amenities in the future.
And those are discussions you're going to have now that there's the community group who's going to be advising.
Correct.
Okay, and I do think those are really important, so I appreciate former Councilmember Fote raising them. And,
yeah, and the architect's
they've
been
on
that,
your plan for a long time, so I just wanted to give you a chance to share that. And the other thing I want to note is, this is a very fast time. You could say for government, it's faster than I've ever seen, but it's faster than private things get built, right? I mean, a year from when you have money to build something, to have it complete, let alone with all the roles involved, is really, really fast. And I applaud the state for doing that, because we could talk about this forever and have great ideas. And I appreciate that we need to get this stuff done as soon as possible. So to the city manager's point, I just think making sure, the community and the council are updated, even if it's just a short update at the beginning of meetings as things are moving, because you're going to have to make decisions in between council meetings. And if council wants to have a liaison or two who you can, or Teresa can reach out to in the process when there are questions, you want some input, that's another option just to consider. Just want to respond to that as well. So thank you. And really, Greg, and just the entire staff and the folks in the city and outside the city. I mean, this is really an incredible project, and it's taken a lot of work to get us here, and it's great that we're going to see the fruits of all of that so quickly. So thank you everyone for working so well together.
Are there, Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. It's really helpful and great to see what's moving forward with this project. Councilmember Kors had some of my questions, but I do want to ask a little bit more about those other community benefits like childcare. I know the Indio location has childcare and it's wildly successful. I know I've talked to members of the community that were concerned about the navigation center, but when I mentioned Martha's, the childcare program in Indio, they had people they knew who attended, people they knew who were caregivers there, and it really changed their perspective. So for amenities like that, do you have a sense of what the timeline would be to, because obviously I completely understand that we have to get those essential services first, but what is the next step?
We don't have a set timeline, and I may let Linda Brock chime in here as well, but Again, because of the tight timeline that we have, we want to make sure that we have all the elements in place. Again, there will be community space set aside that would be able to be adapted for that. What I would anticipate is as we move through this process and finalizing a contractor, start the renovations and rehabilitation, that then those conversations can start happening in a more robust fashion on those certain extra community benefits.
Great, thank you. And then the resident advisory group will be able to give kind of all of their ideas, right? And then we can narrow down? Okay,
absolutely.
Wonderful. I just want to make sure, as I've talked to a lot of residents who are going to be on that group, they have such an amazing wealth of experience and diversity of thought. So I want to make sure we're kind of aware of all of the ideas, even if we can't implement all of them.
And that's a great point, Mayor Pro Tem, is all ideas are going to be welcome. There needs to be a realization, though, that some may not be practical, some may not be affordable, or some may not be just doable in the case. But that doesn't mean we won't try every way to make those recommendations happen.
Right, and I think it's just a good opportunity, just in general, for us to be able to take those ideas and maybe implement them in some other type of city project.
Exactly correct.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Are there other questions, comments from council? Councilmember Halsted.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Greg, especially, and Martha's and everyone on board here. This truly is work that's leading the way for the region and the state. And yeah, I love to see a navigation center that is world-class here in our city. And you heard from our police chief how much this will impact our community for the better. I just have a question. I had the same comments and kind of concerns about community benefits and really the commitment that we made to the community members, especially their surrounding communities, that there would be benefits and mitigation for some of the impacts to their neighborhood. So can you just walk me through, I know you did it in your presentation, but I'm getting questions that people are sending to me about, why building C, why buildings A and B, why wouldn't we be able to move scheduled homeless services to C and put more community services in A and B? So can you just kind of go through your reasoning with the layout?
So in the initial stages, when we first brought original plans to you, the walkthrough was done to determine which buildings would accommodate the right type of service. Through Martha's and through Linda doing the walkthrough as well, there was even some reconfiguration on some of the service provisions in A and B. Keep in mind that there's behavioral health services, some access to physical health, either on-site or through referral, a commercial kitchen, common working space for workforce development and training that really fit well and more adaptable for buildings A and B. Also, in addition, you want to make sure that the buildings that are oriented to the housing portion of the campus are facilitating the wraparound services for that housing. As you move into building C, which eventually will be the intake and emergency overnight shelter and some other common spaces, is that the uniqueness about that building is where it's located and the ability to have separate entrance for primarily security reasons, to make sure that the housing section is really looked at as like a neighborhood with those services. However, A and B not only function as support services for the transitional housing, but also as service for the building C. If you're looking at the ability to accommodate roughly 60 people in an emergency shelter situation and designing and building that in a way where you don't have to worry about a future pandemic and congregate settings, really the size of that building is needed for that type of environment, because again, remember that it's not just sleeping areas, but it's common bathrooms, common living areas, or ability to watch TV, again, some workforce spaces as well. So that's the idea and that's the thinking. I think the architects would agree that that's the layout that works best on that campus environment. And I don't know, Hillary or Alice, if you wanted to add anything else on that.
Yeah, I'm happy to chime in here. Just to give some background on the Home Key program as well. When the first Home Key round one came out, it was at the sort of right after the pandemic hit, and it was predominantly used for like hotel motel conversions and getting people into individual units for health and safety reasons because of the COVID pandemic, raging around us. And so that requirement to have living units be standalone individual units continued with Home Key 2, and that prohibition of congregate shelter settings being used with that funding. So as Greg said, and I'll let Alice chime in here as well on why Building C is planned to be, second phase, if you will, of the project. It's just because of the size available there, and that we anticipate being able to put the services into the other two smaller buildings on the site.
I think one of the other things to note is that it's really nice to put the services in A and B because they have a kind of a public face. And if we can actually create a public face for the services that is uplifting and inspiring and use the design to do that, it actually really kind of dignifies the whole challenge of homelessness. It's, this is something that we believe should really just be a service that's offered all over that exists as infrastructure all over the world. It's, and dignity is kind of one of the really main key things that we know is really critical to provide our unhoused population with. So we think that putting the services in A and B on the street front, and then as was already stated, C already having the ability to have its own access, it just really does make a lot of sense from a planning point of view. So I think all of the pieces sort of fell into place in the way that this was conceived. So we're pretty happy about that.
And Councilmember Holstage, too, if I could add, just going on Alice's point, is that, in the event there were community benefits out of the service buildings, it makes more sense for them to be on the front-facing side. Again, not only for ease of access, but again, for security reasons for those community members. And Linda, did you want to add something?
Yes, when we walk the buildings, I give a lot of thought to flow. And part of the buildings, A and B, have flex space looking to the future, right? I call them flex spaces, so that we can have an eye to the future and what might be needed. So I'm comfortable. We have, with building, one of the buildings is what I call everything that you might need for 24 hours, right? The other building is something that the services in there would close. Case managers don't work 24 hours a day. So it makes sense. And when I thought about pets, I keep asking the questions about the pallets homes, right? There is no reason why a pet can't be with its owner. We do know this year that we were able to identify funding for animal services, but we could not apply until we actually have a center. So there's going to be a lot of projects like this that will improve services, but we don't have access to the funding until we actually have a building that we can write about and tell our story. So I want to say that I think it was very smart of the city to have the provider's eye on it as well. Martha's right now is going through its own expansion of childcare. We know that's a 2-year process. We know that. It's not a quick process because of licensing and all of. So everybody's just going to have to be patient with what the future looks like, and with their input, us being able to move forward with things that do work for that community, right? And for the homeless population, that's number one. And I'm going to add an aside here. Right now, we're doing warm weather at United Methodist. We're full every night. At your access center, we have over 60 people a day now. Wow. And we're doing over 40 showers. That small building is bursting at the seams. So I'm saying to you that the need is there. I know how hard this is going to be for the team. This timeline is incredible. And not friendly. I'll just say it's not friendly. Thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem, that goes back to, I'm glad Linda brought that up, about the availability of funding for certain other activities that we would like to do. Again, so that's why it's important that we get this initial phase done, and then we can look at those other sources of funding and community benefits as well.
Other
Thank
questions?
you, everyone.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Sorry, I just wanted to finish up with that and say thank you for those answers. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm very much looking forward to the other types of funding we might be able to receive for medical clinics, childcare, like Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, as well as I saw that you had listed legal aid, which is a huge need in our community since the legal aid office is in Indio, Riverside, or elsewhere. And I know that helps a lot of folks get out of poverty. So thank you for all of your work. I'm really looking forward to having a world-class navigation center. And thank you to Linda for reminding us the urgency that exists every day, that this doesn't yet exist in our community. So thank you for carrying that urgency with you through this work on a tight timeline, and it will be worth it.
Anything else from anyone? Councilmember Woods.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick question to repeat. When is the working group starting, and have you populated that yet, the resident working group?
So the working group has been populated. Stefan, help me on the date, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so we have a tentative starting date of August 16th. So that's what we're shooting for. We also have close to 25 to 30 residents on that resident advisory working group. We're still kind of just confirming a couple final people.
Great. Okay. Thank you. The other thing, maybe this is for Greg, or did I lose everybody? Is just remind everybody, I know we're doing this to leverage, a partnership with the county and funding from the state, but just remind everybody what this will do for the quality of life of not only our unhoused, but of the residents of Palm Springs as a whole.
It's a great point, Councilmember Woods. I mean, obviously, it's a needed asset within the city, not only for our unhoused individuals, but also a tool, as the chief mentioned, for being able to rightfully enforce without violating state or federal law. But again, for the community as a whole, the more people we get off the streets, the better it is for the business community, the better it is for tourism. And I just go back, it's the right and moral thing to do, and I think it's great that the county is, or that the city and county has stepped up to do this as well. So, and it's proven in other jurisdictions. I was just got home last night from the National Alliance on Ending Homelessness, and very few cities or counties are as advanced as we are in this region, in this type of campus. Those that, though, do this model has shown to be very, very effective and has benefit, again, to your point, Councilmember Woods, to not only the unhoused individuals, but to the community as a whole.
Thank you.
And anything else from council?
Mayor, if I could add, just to address the working group thing too, is again, I really want to give credit to the LaSar team and city staff for really making sure that that working group is representative of the entire community, not only residents of the neighborhood, but the business community, those that do service provision, interested in individuals like former council member Foe, who's fought this issue for decades, literally. So really, it's a really good, solid group of people. So.
Thank you. Let me add that to go back to what we talked about right at the very beginning of this meeting, we have a horrific problem in our city, and we are willing to help. All of the things we talked about is the extent of commitment to help that we have, and that has taken an incredible amount of cooperation from the county, from the state, from our staff, and from our community, and it's the right thing to do. But those who are unwilling to be helped better know that they need to start looking for someplace else to live.
Well, and I think, and it's a great point, I think you're thinking or seeing, though, some activity within the state as well on whether it's care court or the county's establishes home court for those that are tied to the criminal justice system. The care court, we don't believe is perfect yet because it could be an unfunded mandate on the county, but it's those types of thoughts that are starting to happen. To Chief Mills's point too, and you're right, Mayor, as you know, the collaboration between the county and city is by far better now than I think it ever has been. I know it has been, especially on homelessness and housing. But to the Chief's point is the county has really stepped up in establishing mobile crisis management teams, expanding our community behavioral assessment teams. We just can't find the staff is the issue, and that's true for all service providers and medical facilities, behavioral health facilities. You'll also see some other tools coming online from the county, such as a recovery center that will be located in Coachella that is going to have access to a sobering center, inpatient, outpatient services, an element of housing, and it's specifically designed for those acute behavioral health and substance use individuals. The campus already operating in Riverside has shown to be a huge success. We plan on expanding those throughout the county. So we know it's not just about this facility, but it's about, to the Chief's point, continuing to build the tools, continuing to build the partnerships with organizations such as DAP Health and our other service providers in the community.
Very good. This is a receive and file item, so if there's no other comments, we will receive it and thank everyone. We will now move on to item 3B, which is a request for funding for a guaranteed income pilot program. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. You will recall that we came before you on March 24th for a request advanced by a partnership between DAP Health and QueerWorks to fund the design phase of a guaranteed income, or sometimes referred to as a universal basic income pilot program. It was fairly conceptual at that point, but the design phase, which was a request for $200,000, was particularly important to start to build out the various components of what a program may look like and to help prepare for a request for some of the $35 million set aside by the state for these kinds of programs. At that meeting, Council had a number of questions and was introduced to a fairly conceptual level pilot program. You might recall that I think the anticipated request to administer the program would be possibly $1 million, and the cohort would maybe be 20 to receive income stipends, and another 20 maybe as a control group that would provide, receive other services. The proposal has advanced quite a bit since then. I think the partnership has been hard at work engaging with stakeholders across the board to put together a really thoughtful program. They're here again this evening to provide an update and advance a request to fund the administration of a program. Just some of the basics are provided in the staff report, but what was once $1 million request for maybe 20 persons to receive stipends is now a $500,000 request for upwards of 180. So there have been some substantial changes. I won't cover most of those. I think it would be appropriate, Mayor, if it pleases you and the council, that we invite the representatives of DAP Health and QueerWorks to present the remaining details, and perhaps also Councilmember Holstedge, who had urged the consideration of this item, to have some additional opportunity to speak.
Great, thank you. David and Jake?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council Member Coors, Holstedge and Woods, and city leaders. Thank you for having us this evening. I'm David Brinkman, CEO of DAP Health. Right, we live in one of the wealthiest countries in the world, but prosperity and well-being are not broadly shared. And in our valley, we're surrounded with some of the best nonprofits in the United States. But none of these forces can end poverty, particularly during these times of inflation. Times like these, they require piloting new projects. And tonight, QueerWorks and DAP Health respectfully request the City of Palm Springs join 30 other cities in the United States, including San Diego, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and now the city of Coachella, in a basic income program. Research shows that basic income programs have successfully addressed housing insecurity. So let's address housing insecurity for 180 locals. The city's support will be matched by DAP Health. And with an additional $1.6 million of in-kind client services provided by QueerWorks and DAP Health. And with that, we'll go to Sacramento and ask for another $2 million. Think of the difference this will make in income and client services to 180 locals, people who are living at $17,000 or less per year. What a difference $800 a month will make for the next 18 months. With the city's support, we will double the number of people we're going to serve. With the state's support, we will quadruple it. So it's my pleasure to introduce and bring forward my partner in this program, Jacob Roskofinski, as CEO of QueerWorks. Jacob?
Thank you, David. Hello, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and the rest of council. I want you to imagine a world where everyone has access to healthcare, housing, and employment. And the UBI project is the starting point to that possibility. As you're aware, homelessness in Palm Springs affects everyone, and as both DAP Health and QueerWorks have run our outreach efforts, we've been able to support veterans, single parents with small children, foster youth, and those within the LGBTQ+ community. We've also realized that trans and non-binary community members experience extra barriers when accessing care, and they are actually on the lowest on the socioeconomic scale with the highest risk of being homeless, not accessing healthcare, encountering violence, and unemployment. While our program is not exclusive to this community, as a trans individual, I do feel that it's very important to highlight some of the most vulnerable community members and residents that will be a part of this pilot. Knowing just how big this decision is for your Palm Springs constituents and how important this can be for the housing insecure, QueerWorks and DAP Health have spent the last few months securing support of local and state leaders, such as Senator Weiner, Rob Wheeler of the LGBT Center of the Coachella Valley, Congressman Takano, and from the governor's office, both Lieutenant Kanalakis and Governor Newsom, who I have to boast, sent me a personal letter in the mail today encouraging us and speaking very highly of the work that we're doing. We've also experienced a great deal of media coverage from Hong Kong to Canada and support from numerous outlets such as the Los Angeles Times, Newsweek, Huffington Post, Palm Springs Post, and the Coachella Valley Independent, which, as you may know, came with a lot of threats of violence and actually threats of death towards myself and the community. Wrapping up, I would love to share with you about a QueerWorks client, Alicia. When we met her during our outreach, she had just been discharged from the hospital due to suffering extreme physical injuries from one of her clients. She was thrown out of her house at 15 for being transgender and had been engaging in sex work over the next decade to survive in Palm Springs. Because of her poverty level, she was unable to qualify for low-income housing, leading to continued lack of access to healthcare, food security, mental services, which, as we know and as we've heard tonight, is a very common theme. Through our outreach at QueerWorks, we were able to refer her to DAP Health for healthcare, enroll her in our mental health program, and get her connected to a meal program. However, she's still unable to qualify for housing and thus continues to live in our city streets. And with UBI, the $800 a month would qualify her for that housing. This would be able to take her off of the streets of Palm Springs, help her gain employment, stability, and most importantly, feel like a valued resident of this city. We truly believe that UBI is the step to creating this world that I had you imagine, and that Palm Springs can be that leader and innovator in this change. Thank you very much, and we'll open it up to questions.
I think Councilmember Holstead would like to go next.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. And thank you to Jacob and David and your organizations and teams for leading this effort and providing a really impressive and inspirational application here for a project like this. So thank you for your leadership and for representing the people most in need in our community. And Jacob just inspired me, thinking about the trans and non-binary community today is so similar to the LGBTQ community who calls Palm Springs home now, who fled discrimination and violence and being kicked out of homes in young teenage years or even earlier because of their identity. And so many people made Palm Springs their home to escape that violence and discrimination and to build a better community in a world where we all can be our authentic selves completely without fear of discrimination or violence or being thrust into poverty because of our identity or orientation. So I'm just inspired by your work. Thank you so much. I think this is a really impressive opportunity for the city to invest in. I just also wanted to provide some basics because last time when Tucker Carlson aired some comments I made about this at the last meeting, I know that they took it out of context, and it's really unfortunate, the really transphobic reporting that has occurred on this topic. So last year, the state of California became the first state in the nation to enact a universal basic income policy when it approved $35 million to fund guaranteed income pilot programs like this, administered at the local level by local governments and nonprofits. So that's meant to target specific populations for research purposes, such as individuals exiting out of foster care. We've now received the requests for proposals from the state, and we've had numerous conversations in Sacramento with state officials and electeds who believe this pilot program has a high likelihood of being funded by the state. So as David and Jacob said, it's a huge opportunity for us to leverage city funds to get, an additional $2.5 million invested in our community. Two of that being from the state. Money that, we don't frequently see in our region come down to nonprofits like ours. So I think that's a huge opportunity. I think that David and Jacob explained how guaranteed income works. It's a monthly cash payment given directly to individuals. It's unconditional with no strings attached and no work requirements. And the data shows that these pilot programs work. So if you look at the data from Seed in Stockton, which is the first one of these under Mayor Tubbs, who we're lucky to be working with on this pilot program, this increased full-time employment. So 28% of the participants were employed full-time at the start of the pilot. 1 year later, the figure had risen to 40%. Guaranteed income was not linked to a decrease in full-time employment. It actually helped people stabilize and get full-time jobs. It improved their health and well-being. Participants showed a statistically significant increase in emotional health compared to non-participants, reported lower incident of anxiety and depressive symptoms, and numerous health impacts. So I'm really excited that this program is opened up to Palm Springs residents with a target for the trans and non-binary community, since we know that they really face the highest rates of poverty and negative impacts from discrimination. So with that, I'm very hopeful that we can fund this program in this way and receive these state dollars to directly benefit our residents here in the city of Palm Springs. So thank you to everyone for considering this.
Councilmember Coors.
Thank you, Mayor. And first, just thank you to Councilmember Holstich, who joined Mayors for Guaranteed Income and has really done so much work on this. And thank you for bringing me into getting to work with you on it. Really appreciate it. Just a few questions before some general comments for David and or Jacob. So one thing I saw in the report is you're gonna focus on both transgender non-binary individuals as well as Latino and African American as well, although it's open to everyone who fits the economic criteria. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Our three main criteria involves level of income, if they are clients currently of DAP Health or QueerWorks or become enrolled in our services, and then geographic location. So those are the only three qualifiers in order to apply.
Okay, great, thank you. And then I know we had a discussion a couple days ago, but I have had just someone who said the criteria being to live, work, or spend the majority of your time in Palm Springs, and the majority of your time is not people going out to clubs, right? Majority of your time, as I understand it, is really versus residents was really to address unhoused individuals. And I just want to clarify that, and also if that's the case, to sort of make it clear that it really would cover someone who's considered a resident of Palm Springs using the criteria of the point in time count. Is that accurate, or am I misstating it?
Yes, that is correct. So spending most of the time is sort of a way of saying people who are unhoused and living on the streets of Palm Springs.
So if we include that as residents, which I would do, because they live in Palm Springs, whether they're housed or unhoused, do you believe that you could, all 180 people who will be getting the benefits would fit those criteria?
Absolutely.
Okay. So will that be the criteria? Are you okay if we change that, if that's what council wants to be the criteria?
Yes, I feel, I don't want to speak for David, but I feel DAP Health and QueerWorks would be comfortable with that criteria.
Okay, great. I think that would be great, and I hope other cities follow what I hope will be our lead tonight on that. So those are my questions. Just a few comments. First of all, I want to thank both of you and your organizations for stepping up to this moment. We did something we normally don't do, and whether it's a good or bad idea in the future, we can decide. But we sort of brought you in early because Councilmember Holstage and I thought it would be good to just have an initial discussion, because we can't do that, all five of us otherwise, on the project. And you threw out some ideas and you got feedback from us. And unfortunately, just having that conversation in this political environment resulted in really some awful stories and death threats that no one should have to gone through, because we wanted to have a pre-discussion. But I just want to commend you for taking that feedback, about 20 people, where most of the money was going for other purposes, and turning that for $1 million from the city and $1 million from the state into a proposal to help 180,000 of our most vulnerable, lowest income residents, and using our 500,000, which DAP is matching, to leverage what really will turn into $3 million in cash, of almost 85+% will go to recipients, with another 1.6 million in in-kind services from your two organizations. And it just really reinforced to me the trust that we placed in you, that five of us that night, when we had a lot of questions, but it was a preliminary discussion, and to give you some seed money to do this work so you could come back with this kind of proposal. I just hope we take the good part of that lesson and not just some of the negative stuff. But you two really, and your organizations, have stepped up in a huge way. And I mean, I have so many notes, but I'll keep it relatively quick. And Councilmember Holstage went through a lot of this. There are a lot of anti-poverty programs at various levels of government. And I would say the vast majority are really well-meaning and provide important services and funding. But the reality is, such a large percentage goes into running those programs and the bureaucracy of those programs. And the folks you are targeting often face the most discrimination in our society, people of color and transgender non-binary folks, and have the hardest time accessing those. And there's so many requirements that just the time it takes people to do it keeps them from being able to have a full-time job. And the whole idea of these projects, which have worked well in other cities, and I applaud the state for saying, okay, we're going to test it. We want to test it in different types of municipalities and see if it's as effective here in California, is to get rid of all that bureaucracy and hoops and jumps and give people an extra little bit of money to use for what they need. Some people may not need childcare. Some people may not need extra housing. And for us to spend $500,000 to leverage $3 million for our most vulnerable residents, our poorest residents, and 1.6 million in services, it's just an opportunity I can't envision we would give up. I mean, we'll match millions of dollars for an extra dog park, and I think we should. But here we're only asked to put in a small percentage of this to help these residents. And I really appreciate, working with Greg Rodriguez on some numbers, but it's just about $40,000 for a single person and close to $80,000 for a single person and one child for a living wage in Riverside County. And we know that's more in Palm Springs. And that's just for the basics. That's transportation, food, housing, medical care. That isn't all the extras of getting to do anything else in your life but work and survive. And with gas prices and everything else going up, this is helping people who make less than $17,000 a year, not even half. And if they have a kid, 20% of what they need to survive. So this is going to help people be employed. It's definitely going to help homeless folks, but it's really going to help people from becoming homeless. The number one reason, and all the data supports it, that people become homeless is because they can't afford their rent. And this is going to help people not become homeless living on our streets, which is going to cost us more. It's going to cost our businesses. This is going to help people have full-time jobs, which our businesses are desperately looking for. This is such a great opportunity. And when I read the proposal, I was so excited to see what you pulled together. And knowing that you have the support of the governor and the lieutenant governor, I mean, I just want to say thank you for stepping up into this. And I thank staff for all the work you did with the organizations, because this is a great proposal and an opportunity, as Councilmember Holsted said, to leverage millions of dollars for our most vulnerable residents that we would lose if we didn't put in $500,000 to this project. So again, thank you, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there other council members that would like, Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you to David and Jacob for your work, for this presentation. And I know I got to speak with both of you a bit this week about this project, and I'm just really excited. And thank you to Councilmember Coors and Holstage as well for your leadership on this. This is really excellent. And one of the things that is so striking to me about UBI programs is the fact that we give out a lot of money to a lot of people in our country who don't need it. So when I worked in Washington, D.C., and I worked for Big Law, it was amazing how many freebies there were, how many times meals were paid for and taxis were paid for, and just the health care that was provided, the fees that were waived for that health care. And these were people who were making just silly amounts of money, right? And there is this social welfare program for the wealthy that exists in our country. It's a very robust system. And so to me, being able to actually provide funding to people who really need it is the least that we could possibly do. And our residents and just people in general know what it is that they need. They know what it is that they need to spend this money on, and who are we to tell them what that is? So this is, I think, really radical for a lot of people, because people often think that we should be telling others how they can spend their money, but the reality is that we each need to make those decisions for ourselves, and we are the ones who are most capable of deciding what's best for us. So I really appreciate that you're bringing forward something like this. It truly is life-changing, and it's the first step, I think, in reinventing and refocusing how we spend our money in the United States and how we provide services to our residents. So thank you very, very much for bringing this forward.
So I want to thank everyone for all of the work that's gone into this. I know how hard this has been and how much effort that has been given. Congratulate Councilmember Holstage. I know this has been a passion project of yours, and you are going to have the votes this evening to move it forward. Mine will not be one of those votes, but that is because I've come to a different conclusion as to the capacity of these programs to scale up and to achieve the very laudable goals that you have set before you. I know a little of something about being transgender and the challenges that are faced by our community. I also have rather personal experience with poverty as well. So these are difficult decisions for all of us, and I've said before my concerns, and this is not the time to repeat them. Thank you. Are there any other comments? Councilmember Woods.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I will just reiterate your comments as well, and I thank you, Christy, and you know, and DAP and QueerWorks and all them for doing their things. The city right now is on a huge, you know, we are really taking on a lot for poverty in this city, and we're taking a huge leap with our navigation center and everything that we have a lot of social services. I don't think the city needs to continue down this path of social services. We've given a lot of money to DAP to build housing, which is what we need. You know, I might be more amenable to this if the $500,000 was returned to the city if they didn't get the state grant. That would be more amenable to me, but it sounds like they've already got the votes to move forward with it, is what I'm hearing. But, you know, the citizens of Palms, you know, this, you know, tax dollars come in, they come into a pool, and then we as the council have to decide how those tax dollars are dispersed and utilized. And we have heard, we have the needs of homelessness, which we're working very tightly on. And we have a lot of other needs that didn't get addressed. And I thought this should have come up during the budget process. You know, it's coming up after as a kind of a one-off, even though it was started. I made it very clear when we first approved it that this was really to get them up and running, which I totally supported. But, you know, we have people who are, you know, we have a ton of people dying in accident deaths on our streets. And we've only allocated $500,000 to really address that. And here we're addressing $500,000 to a small group of people. So, you know, I'm going to be in favor of with the mayor. Thank you.
Are there any additional comments from anyone? And roll call, please. Do we need, oh, excuse me. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We need a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I think.
With the change, that'll be Palm Springs residents is defined, including unhoused residents. Acceptable?
Yes.
Then I will second.
All right. Now a roll call, please.
Councilmember Holstage?
Yes.
Councilmember Coors?
Yes.
Councilmember Woods?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Garner?
Yes.
Mayor Middleton?
No.
Motion carries 3-2.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate your support.
Right. Item 3C has been pulled. We will, for scheduling at a future date, we will move on to item 3D, review of Palm Springs International Airport Master Plan scope of work. Staff report, please.
Mayor and Council, I'll just get things started briefly, and only to say that it's not always the case that staff presents you with something like a request for proposal. Generally speaking, especially after Council had given direction to proceed with a master plan process, we would more than likely bring you the actual contract or other components of the work. So this is somewhat unusual. You might consider it somewhat of a receive and file or something like that, but we wanted there to be an opportunity for council to review it. It's fairly standard from the perspective of, the FAA outlines how these studies are conducted. The people that do this work are fairly good at it and are also well-versed. So there's probably not a lot of customization that can or should take place. But that said, we wanted to present it to council so that if there were particular areas of interest or things that you might want us to emphasize in this request, that we could do so. But really, the substantive work of planning the future of the Palm Springs International Airport will take place during the study and not at this phase. So I just offer that as a way to kind of frame the discussion, that really the substance will come later. But with that said, I'd like to turn it over to Harry to present the basics of this RFP and what to expect in this master planning process.
Yeah, so good evening, Madam Mayor, our Mayor Pro Tem and council members. So just to piggyback on what Justin just said, the idea here is just to get feedback and input on the scope of work, make sure that we're on the right track, and then get your approval to move forward with a master plan. And the reason is because we believe it's going to be consequential, right? So our last major comprehensive master plan was done in 2001. We did do an update to the master plan in 2015. However, that just included a terminal planning exercise. So it didn't include the airfield. It didn't include landside access or intermodal transportation, things of that nature. We are operating, frankly, on some outdated assumptions with our passenger traffic growth as well as our aircraft operations. Last year, the last fiscal year, we well exceeded what we expected in terms of passenger growth. We're on track to do that again this year, frankly, and speaking with the airlines and looking at the data going into the next peak season for us. We also have a lot of competing interests. So as you'll recall, we at one point were exploring development of a consolidated rental car facility. However, recent interest has been in potentially getting a federal inspection station for international service, as well as some other activities on the airfield. And looking at the geometry of the airfield, we need to figure out how that's going to fit and how we're going to make it work. So the idea here is to get some feedback, additional feedback from you all on whether this will work for the airport, whether it will work for the city, and then move forward from there. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Questions, comments from council? Let me just pick up on the one that you just mentioned, having the capacity for international. And I know that's something that all of us would like to have. It's not realistic in the short run, but that will be a part of the process of developing the master plan to explore what our options are. Is that correct?
That's accurate. So we'll be looking at two things in the master planning process. If you notice, within the scope of work, it's phased. The first phase being the terminal and landside. The second phase being the airfield components and airfield capacity and safety. So we'll be looking at this from facilities perspective in terms of the building capacity itself, but we also need to ascertain whether the type of aircraft that would serve international destinations can land and operate out of the airfield.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Woods.
Just a couple questions. I saw in the report the issue with the neighbors, both the approach and the takeoff, and the noise. And but when I read through kind of the scope that you are putting out there for the RFP, it didn't really go into that being a work product. So can you just explain where we're at with that?
We would typically not go into detail on that unless we were looking at something specific within that process. That would normally be captured in the environmental component of a master plan anyway. So the environmental components of a typical airport master plan would look at all things from light pollution to noise pollution, any potential cultural impacts, things of that nature, cultural resource impacts and things of that nature. So if you would like us to define it, we can certainly include that within the scope of work, but that's something we would look at anyway in the process.
Thank you. I understand that it would be part of the environmental, but I think it needs to be brought out as actually a specific point of study. So maybe, if we go to international flights, it has to be a certain type of aircraft with a certain noise radius, whatever it may be, so that we really get the specifics on that in the study.
I can take that back and include that.
Thank you.
Other comments, questions? Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. This, all looks great to me. I just wanted to point out the sustainability portion that's in here. I think that's going to be something that's really important, and I'm glad that that's included. Just wanted to note that for the public. So thank you.
Anyone else? This is the first step in a very long process, and we congratulate you on moving forward with this, and thanks for bringing it to us and giving us an opportunity to comment. And I think the most important comment you're hearing is you're on the right track.
All right. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
With that, does this require a vote?
That is a direction to staff item.
Right, and I think we've given it. So we're now to the portion of the agenda for public comment on non-agenda items. Are there any non-agenda public comment?
Madam Mayor, we have one public comment. If you give me just a moment to give them a call.
All right.
Yes, please state your name.
Honorable City of Palm Springs Council members. I am Michelle Nobleman, a co-chair of the Rotary District 5330's Foundation Gala, and I bring you exciting news. On October 8th, we will be honored with the wonderful opportunity to host Rotary International's first ever woman president, Jennifer Jones, at our annual fundraising gala, and it will be held at the Westin Mission Hills Resort. This is the first time a sitting worldwide Rotary president will have visited this community. Attendance will be 600 to 800 in range, with confirmed attendance from both Rotarians and non-Rotarians from all over the world. Jennifer is a communications professional. Her powerful message calling for action in areas like redoubling efforts for strengthening diversity, equity, and inclusion in our communities, finishing polio eradication, and also very relevant for us in the Coachella Valley, focusing even more resources on food insecurity, will be truly impactful. Rotary and Palm Springs have a wonderful relationship. Rotary founder Paul Harris and Walt Disney were instrumental in chartering the first Rotary Club in the Coachella Valley in 1941, the Rotary Club of Palm Springs. We would be honored if the City of Palm Springs would consider being an event sponsor at the level of $5,000. I welcome the chance to discuss this further, as this support would be crucial in bringing international attention to our valley and attracting like-minded sponsors and attendees. A sizable portion of fundraising proceeds will go to needs in our local communities. I'm hopeful you will agree that the unique opportunity this event offers is one that we do not want to miss, and that we can work together to make it successful. Thank you in advance for your consideration.
Thank you, and congratulations to your new president.
Thank you.
David Schreiner, you're live with the City Council. You have 2 minutes to provide your comments, and you may begin.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. I was just going to see if the City Council could consider putting on the agenda an amendment to the taxi dress code for the drivers at the airport, possibly allowing them to wear knee-high shorts during the summer months, which would probably be like maybe June through September. Right now, we have to wear pants, and even though there's an air-conditioned day room in the overflow, and they allow you to go inside, once you get up front, sometimes you're waiting for an hour or two, and you kind of have to stay with the vehicle. And we just wanted to see if you would consider amending, adding knee-high shorts during the summer months for the taxi dress code at the Palm Springs Airport. Thank you.
That concludes our list.
Well, I know we're not supposed to comment on public comments directly, but if someone could take a look at why it is that we think we need to ban shorts for drivers of taxi cabs, I'd appreciate it. It probably goes back to a generation long ago and far away. We are now to City Council and City Manager comments, reports, and agenda development. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I actually just wanted to recognize one of our residents before we get started with the agenda development portion. I think there's a slide for this. I'll start talking. Oh, there it is. So I want to recognize Clemencia Ramoran. She was a District 1 resident, and she passed away this Monday, July 25th. Mrs. Ramoran moved to the Coachella Valley with her late husband, Sosimo Ramoran, in the 1960s. They worked in the grape fields from Delano to the Coachella Valley for many years, before Ms. Ramoran took on numerous jobs as a domestic worker and health aide at a convalescent home. Together, Mrs. Ramoran and her husband built their home in Veterans Tract in 1975, where they raised their children, including our Human Rights Commissioner, Edwin Ramoran, who's also the co-founder of Bayanihan Desert. Mrs. Ramoran was a devout Seventh-day Adventist and known for her enthusiasm and commitment to cooking in the community. She made the best kankenin desserts like deep-fried cariocoa, which I've had the pleasure of tasting and which is what we were eating in this photo here. And just to note, this photo was from Larry Itlong Day in October of 2020. The city presented a proclamation, and I gave that to Clemencia to honor her and her family and the work that they did in the fields and participation in the boycotts that happened during that time in the 1960s. Mrs. Ramoran will be greatly missed, and we send our love and condolences to her children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, family, and friends. So thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So, City Council, City Manager comments and reports.
Mayor, if it's your pleasure and the pleasure of council, we could put up the tentative upcoming meeting schedule on screen. This would be an opportunity if there are notes from council members about items that you want to see completed either immediately or through the next few months of our work planning schedule. So we have September 1st up in front of you. That meeting is pretty well established at this point. Just recall we aim for about 4¼ hours of business. Occasionally something happens like this evening where we have an item that is pushed and it can be shorter, but we also know, like what happened the last meeting, they can be longer. So we do our best to try to give you a reasonable amount of work, but it is a little bit art and a little bit science. Bear in mind, of course, there is a month between now and our next meeting on September 1st, and a lot can change. We have a number of items identified for September 29th, just a little bit lower on the screen. There is an opportunity for a study session. We had previously put a placeholder for September 6th. I don't know that that's necessary. We've targeted larger items that are still at kind of a conceptual level of development and don't think that we have one of those identified at this point, so we'd recommend foregoing that study session. But really, we're here to take any questions or direction about items you'd like to see again, maybe immediately around the corner in September or throughout the coming months where you might want to assign some focus in those work plans that we presented as part of your consent agenda.
Thank you. Comments from council? I'm not seeing a lot, and the plans for September certainly look good to me. There's any other comments from anyone? Mayor Pro Tem.
This looks good to me. I know that as we're kind of figuring out how we want to proceed, I'm open to leaving the agenda a little bit open and having staff let us know what you think is the most realistic as we move forward these next few months, because I know there's just a lot going on. So thank you.
If I could, and it's not immediately with what you have, but just for planning in advance, we're scheduled to meet on December 1st, and if possible, I would like to reschedule that meeting due to obligations I'm going to have with League of California Cities, and that's an important meeting as we do our transitions from council. Possibly we could do November 29th, but some other date other than December 1st would be greatly appreciated. Mayor Pro Tem?
Just one note on that. December 15th, the December 15th meeting will probably largely be ceremonial, so I think it would be good to be able to have that meeting to accommodate the mayor, sorry.
Okay. If there is no other comments, we, in record fashion for the Palm Springs City Council, we'll be adjourning our meeting at 8:20. We will do so in honor of Clemencia Ramoran. The next regular City Council meeting is scheduled to be held on September 1st at 5:30. We will be dark during the month of August. There may be an opportunity or a necessity of a special meeting in closed session to deal with city manager transition, although we are not anticipating such. So please enjoy the month and be safe out there. We are adjourned.